Hello, my name is Emily Ray Rodriguez, and for my EELP lesson plan, I will be discussing the standards of operations and algebraic thinking. This will be based on kindergarten math. Now, when thinking about my students, the children will most likely be aware of sharing concepts and counting skills. They also will have some pattern recognition. I believe that this lesson would be more towards the middle end of the year and definitely not in the beginning. So the big idea and essential question is, how do we add and subtract? The objectives/outcomes students will be able to understand addition as putting together and adding to, and understand subtraction as taking apart and away from. The materials and resources that I will need is colored plastic chips, an Elmo/a smartboard, individual whiteboards for each student, and expo markers. Now, for the actual lesson part, I will first show a short video on counting to introduce the topic. Now, this can be like a song or a video that's just getting their brains moving and ready to learn about counting. Then I will give students colored chips. They can all share them at their individual tables. And I will use my Elmo or my smartboard to show them that I'm doing the same thing as them. So what we'll do is I'll put, let's say, 6 chips down, and then I'll remove 3. And then I'll say, well, how many chips do we have now? And the answer would be 3. But I want us to be actively engaged. And if students aren't understanding that, I will have check student understanding during the lesson, and this would be by walking around and making sure that they're getting it right, or having them raise their hands for questions. And I'll use the visual aid as the smartboard to help them do this. Now, after we do that, and another example is if we add chips. So let's say I have 3 chips and we add the 3 chips back, we have 6 chips now. Now, I would use a smartboard to do this task with the students. Now, the next part of this is checking their understanding after the lesson. To check their understanding after the lesson, I would have the students hold up a whiteboard with answers written on them. Now, I would have a question on the board. I'd have 3 chips, and then I'd have 6 chips. And then I'd say, well, how many chips do I have now? And they would need to count, and they would need to add those 2 amounts together and write it on their whiteboard as a number, and then hold it up. And that's how I'll know, and that'll be kind of like the test to see if they understand what I'm learning about. And so some key components of this lesson is you have to use manipulatives to give students physical objects, and I should give a step-by-step guide on how to do things, and I should have positive reinforcement the entire time. Now, I will also need to reflect on what went well and what didn't go well. It's very important as a teacher that you reflect on the challenges and what went well and what didn't. And then also, if students are still not understanding, I could use stacking blocks instead of chips. The blocks can combine together and may show better representation. I also could call small group work and work more closely with children, and just especially those ones that need extra help. But that's only if the lesson didn't work well. Thank you for listening to my EELP lesson plan, and have a good day.